When a team passes on a proven closer signing a $16 million deal, are they playing chess while everyone else plays checkers, or are they about to watch their bullpen implode for the third consecutive season? The Toronto Blue Jays just let Raisel Iglesias slip through their fingers, and the answer to that question will define their entire 2026 campaign. Wednesday's announcement hit like a thunderclap. Iglesias returning to Atlanta on a one-year, $16 million contract. Simple, clean, done. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. Multiple insiders immediately revealed that Toronto had been circling, expressing interest, engaging in conversations. The Blue Jays were right there, positioned to strike, and then nothing. No offer materialized, no aggressive push, just interest that evaporated into the November air. So, what the hell just happened? Did Toronto's front office make a calculated strategic decision, or did they just fumble away a hashtag "Did Toronto just dodge a bullet?" or reveal their master plan? When a team passes on a proven closer signing a $16 million deal, are they making a catastrophic mistake, or are they playing chess while everyone else plays checkers? The Toronto Blue Jays just watched Raisel Iglesias return to Atlanta, and the baseball world is left wondering, did Toronto miss out, or are they hunting something far bigger? Here's the thing that should have every Blue Jays fan sitting up straight. Teams that express interest but don't make offers aren't confused, they're strategic. They're not settling for good when elite is available. And right now, with the bullpen market still wide open, Toronto's restraint might be the most aggressive move they could make. Wednesday's announcement that the Atlanta Braves re-signed Iglesias to a one-year, $16 million contract seems straightforward enough. A 35-year-old reliever with 29 saves in 70 games returns to familiar territory. Standard offseason business. But then the reports started trickling out, and suddenly this routine signing became a window into Toronto's entire strategic approach. The interest that never became an offer. Francis Romero dropped the initial bombshell on social media. The Blue Jays and Angeles Dodgers had both shown interest in Iglesias at around that $16 million price point. But here's where it gets fascinating, and where Toronto's front office reveals something crucial about their thinking. Ben Nicholson-Smith provided the critical clarification, heard per sources that Blue Jays talked to Raisel Iglesias before he signed with Atlanta, expressing some interest. Jays didn't make an offer. Read that again. They talked. They expressed interest, but they never pulled the trigger. They never put actual dollars on the table. This isn't indecision, this is calculation. Toronto's front office engaged in due diligence, assessed the market, evaluated the player, and then deliberately chose not to compete for his services. That's not a team that got outbid or outmaneuvered. That's a team that looked at a $16 million closer and said, we could do better. The Dodgers being in the same market makes perfect sense. Both organizations just competed in the World Series. Both understand what October baseball demands. Both recognize that elite, late-inning pitching separates contenders from champions. But while Los Angeles apparently made an offer, Toronto held back, and that restraint speaks volumes. Why Iglesias made sense, and why Toronto walked away. Let's be clear about what Iglesias brings. 29 saves in 70 appearances, veteran experience, proven ability to handle high-leverage situations. At $16 million for 1 year, that's not unreasonable value in today's inflated market. Teams have paid far more for far less production. For a Blue Jays bullpen that's shown vulnerability in late-game situations, Iglesias represented an obvious upgrade. He's been there, done that, collected the saves. He knows how to navigate the ninth inning when the margin for error disappears completely. But here's what Toronto's front office clearly recognized. Iglesias is 35 years old. He's coming off one strong season after some inconsistency, and most importantly, he apparently made it clear through discussions that Atlanta was his preferred destination. When a player signals that kind of preference, smart organizations don't waste time or resources trying to change minds. The early timing of Iglesias' return to the Braves suggests he genuinely wanted to stay there. Toronto likely picked up on those signals during their conversations. Rather than engage in a bidding war for a player whose heart was already in Atlanta, they pivoted, preserving financial flexibility and negotiating capital for targets who actually want to be Blue Jays. That's not losing. That's professional roster management. The next tier. Where Toronto's focus shifts, Mitch Bannon reported earlier in November that the Blue Jays would be targeting the tier of relievers just below Edwin Diaz and Robert Suarez. That report mentioned 3 specific names: Devin Williams, Pete Fairbanks, and Phil Maton. Let's break down what each brings to the table and why Toronto's interest makes strategic sense. Devin Williams. The elite option Williams spent 2025 with the New York Yankees, functioning as their primary late-inning weapon. He's younger than Iglesias, he's got electric stuff, and he's proven he can handle the pressure of meaningful games in October. Projected to earn between $18 to $30 million on a 1- or 2-year deal, Williams represents a clear upgrade over Iglesias, both in terms of pure talent and remaining prime years. Yes, he's more expensive, but if you're going to spend big on a reliever, spend on someone who's genuinely elite, not someone who's merely good. This is where Toronto's decision not to offer Iglesias $16 million becomes brilliant. If they're willing to spend that much on a 35-year-old, why not stretch another $2 to $4 million annually for a significantly better, younger pitcher? Williams isn't just an incremental improvement, he's a categorical upgrade. Pete Fairbanks. The value play after Tampa Bay declined his option, Fairbanks hit free agency with an impressive resume. 27 saves, 1.04 whip, 2.83 ERA. He's not the strikeout machine that Williams is, but he gets outs consistently and knows how to navigate high-leverage situations. For a Blue Jays organization that's always balanced aggressive spending with value consciousness, Fairbanks represents the sweet spot. He'll cost less than Williams, he's proven effective, and he provides the kind of reliable late-inning presence that allows managers to sleep at night. If Toronto can't land Williams or decides the price tag is too steep, Fairbanks becomes the smart pivot. A player who provides 80% of the production at 60% of the cost. Phil Maton, the Hoffman blueprint. Here's where Toronto's recent history becomes instructive. Jeff Hoffman entered 2025 primarily as a setup man, 22 holds, 5 saves in his profile. The Blue Jays saw something more, elevated him to the closer role, and watched him thrive. Maton's 2025 numbers, 22 holds, 5 saves, mirror Hoffman's pre-Toronto profile almost exactly. Could the Blue Jays be planning to run the same playbook again? Take a talented setup arm, give him the 9th inning, and watch him blossom into a legitimate closer? It's not the sexiest strategy, but it's proven effective. And if it allows Toronto to allocate financial resources elsewhere, say, toward a Kyle Tucker or retaining Bo Bichette, then it becomes brilliant roster construction rather than penny pinching. The nuclear options, Diaz and Suarez, but here's where this entire situation becomes genuinely thrilling for Blue Jays fans. What if Toronto's restraint with Iglesias wasn't about settling for the next tier down? What if they're actually aiming higher? Edwin Diaz just completed an absolutely dominant 2025 season. 98 strikeouts across 66.1 innings, 28 saves, a microscopic 1.63 ERA, and a 0.87 whip. Those aren't good numbers, they're elite numbers. They're Cy Young caliber numbers compressed into a reliever's workload. The Athletic projects Diaz will command a 4-year, $84 million contract. That's real money. $21 million annually for a closer. But it's also real production. Diaz isn't just a closer, he's a weapon. He's the kind of pitcher who can single-handedly swing playoff series by shutting down opposing lineups in the most critical moments. Imagine this scenario. Toronto signs Diaz as their closer and moves Jeff Hoffman into the setup role. Suddenly, you've got 2 elite late-inning arms, both capable of recording outs in any situation. That's not just an improved bullpen, that's a transformed bullpen. Robert Suarez presents a similar, slightly less expensive option. His 2025 campaign, 40 saves, 0.90 whip, 2.97 ERA across 69.2 innings, demonstrates sustained excellence. The Athletic projects him for 3 years and $54 million, which translates to $18 million annually. That's only $2 million more per year than what Iglesias just got from Atlanta for a significantly better pitcher. In his prime, with multiple years of control, the strategic brilliance of patience, here's what Toronto's front office understands that impatient fans often miss. The offseason is a marathon, not a sprint. The teams that panic and overpay in November often regret those decisions by March. The teams that remain disciplined, that assess the entire market, that wait for value to emerge, those are the teams that build sustainable winners. By passing on Iglesias, Toronto preserved approximately $16 million in annual payroll flexibility. That money can now be deployed more strategically, either toward a truly elite reliever like Diaz or Williams, or reallocated entirely toward position player upgrades. The Dodgers and Blue Jays being in the same market for relievers tells you everything about Toronto's ambitions. They're not trying to be respectable. They're not aiming for wild-card contention. They're building a roster designed to compete with the absolute best teams in baseball. You don't do that by settling for the third best option at any position. You do it by identifying the elite talent, allocating resources appropriately, and executing decisively when the right opportunity emerges. The bigger picture, championship infrastructure relief pitching isn't sexy. It doesn't generate jersey sales or highlight reels, but it wins championships. Every single World Series winner in the past decade has featured elite late-inning pitching. Every single one. Toronto's bullpen has been inconsistent, sometimes dominant, sometimes vulnerable, always unpredictable. That volatility is acceptable during rebuilding phases. It's catastrophic during championship windows. The Blue Jays are firmly in their championship window right now. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in his prime. The core is intact. The division is competitive but winnable. This is the moment to go all in on the pieces that separate good teams from great ones. Elite relief pitching is one of those pieces, and Toronto's willingness to pass on Iglesias suggests they understand this at a fundamental level. They're not looking for adequate, they're hunting for dominant. What this means moving forward the next few weeks will reveal whether Toronto's patience pays off. If they land Williams, Diaz, or Suarez, this decision to pass on Iglesias will look brilliant. If they end up settling for a lesser option or scrambling to fill the closer role, questions will rightfully emerge. But based on everything we know about this front office, based on their track record of strategic patience and calculated aggression, the smart money says they've got a plan. They didn't pass on Iglesias because they're cheap or indecisive. They passed because they're aiming higher. And if they walk into spring training with one of the elite closers in baseball anchoring their bullpen, with Jeff Hoffman providing elite setup work, with the financial flexibility to have also upgraded elsewhere on the roster, that's not just a successful offseason. That's a championship-caliber transformation. Is Toronto's patience on Iglesias a stroke of genius or a missed opportunity? Are they really going after Diaz or Williams, or will they end up scrambling? Drop your take in the comments, and hit that like button if you want more deep dive analysis on how the Blue Jays are building a winner.